What's going on, folks? Today in Stu's Garage, we got a pretty cool DIY that I want to work on. And obviously, so you can see, this is not the Drift Fox behind me. This is my wife's 350Z. This is pretty much a universal DIY that you can apply to almost any car. Just the little ins and outs of it are going to be a little bit different for each one. So here's what we're going to be doing today. Since it's super cold in Maryland right now, I went ahead and purchased a seat heater kit. So this kit comes with this style switch. There's a few different ones out there. They're pretty much the same. This one has this switch, and I like that because it's got the numbers on both sides. And this switch actually fits in the OEM slot on the 350Z, which I'll show you later. I don't know if this is what the OEM switch looks like, but it fits right in the OEM slot, which is really cool. So your kit comes with your switch and electronics, and each seat has two heating pads, which you see here, which are going to go underneath the skin of the seat. And there's also more wiring down here, the fun stuff. So what I actually have to do is get in the car, pull the seats out, and then start taking the seats apart so I can get these heating pads underneath the skin. Okay, so when you lift up your seat, pretty much the seat is just lifted up and raised forward. Right now, you're going to find these little black caps over top of your bolts for your seats. These are 14mm bolts. I've already gone ahead and loosened them up, and then you just slide your seat back and you'll see the bolts up front as well. They're also 14mm. So pull these out. If you have power seats, make sure you disconnect the power plug, which will be somewhere in this area, and your seats will come right out of the car. Okay, what we've got here is some kind of wiring going to the seat. I don't think these seats have airbags in them, and I'm pretty sure that these are not already heated seats. So I don't really know what these wires go to, but just to be safe, I'm going to disconnect the battery before I unplug these and pull the seat out of the car. Alright, so now we've got the seat up on the workbench, and I've gone ahead and undone the zippers, the two zippers in the back, as you can see here. Now most seats are actually made to be deconstructed. So you're just going to have to take a look at your seat depending on what you drive and just see how it's made to come apart. So on this one, it looks like you've got two zippers, and then down here it's clipped on. So I think I just have to pull this down, and there you go. And that pops up like that. And now I can see inside the seat. So just going to have to work my way inside of this seat. I'm going to need to get to the other side. I'm going to need both hands to do that. So I'm going to try and pull the skin back enough for me to get to the front side of the seat where I can insert one of these pads. Okay, so with just the back unzipped, I'm actually able to reach my hand into the pocket that I actually need access to, and this is where my heating pad is going to go. So I'm going to pull the adhesive off of here, and hopefully that doesn't make it too difficult for me to get in there. And I'm just going to slide this heating pad up into where it needs to go. And doing it that way, I don't have to take the whole seat apart and peel it back and expose the pads and everything. I just need to be careful, take my time, and work the pad up into where it needs to go. Okay, so the first heating pad is installed behind the seat cushion, and I do have a little bit sticking out here, which I'm going to actually tuck behind the seat, and it's going to exit from the rear of the seat. I think you're able to trim these things, but I don't actually want to damage it, and I'm not 100% sure. These kits don't come with directions, so I'm just going to try and leave it as is and see if I can just basically route this thing to where it won't be in the way. Okay, so looking at this, I don't think the bottom seat cushioning is going to be quite as simple. I think I'm going to have to go ahead and unbolt it, which I see 4 bolts here, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and I'm going to go ahead and pop those out, and hopefully the seat cushion will lift right out. Okay, so I have the bottom seat cushion out now, and this that you're looking at is the back of the seat cushion. So there's the front, there's the back, and the cloth is being held on by these little rings that kind of look like staples. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and clip these rings and see if I can make myself enough space to slide the pad in like you guys saw before. And seeing this wire, I'm wondering if this car didn't already have heated seats in it, which would be really strange, but you know, we'll see when we pull this thing apart. Okay, so I've got the seat all pulled apart, and it looks like I've discovered what these wires are going to. So these seats actually already have the heaters installed, which is really strange, but I think the best way to explain that is this is an '08, and I think they stopped producing this car in '09, and typically it's not uncommon when you get a car that's near the end of production that they start throwing extra parts in them. So you may end up with stuff in your car that's actually not being used, and in this case I've got heated seats, but it wasn't included in this vehicle, so there's no other heated hardware in here, or maybe it's just the switches that are missing. I don't really know. Alright, so I got into my work and I kind of forgot to show what I was doing a little bit, but I ended up stripping this entire seat pad down, and it's actually pretty easy. Like I was showing you before, all you've got to do is pick these little rings off, and the seat comes off real easy, and it goes back on really easy. You just have to install the rings again. And instead of using rings, I just bought this giant lifetime supply of zip ties, racing ties, and I've got everything secured back down with racing ties, and putting the seat back together. So this section in the middle here, anytime you see creases and stuff, those are also held down by these hooks. And what I did is actually made a slit across the heating pad long ways. Hopefully that won't affect the way that it works, because if you look at the heating pad, the wiring spreads out and it goes to the left and the right, and it goes up the sides, and you can kind of see the grid in the middle. What I ended up doing is making a small slit in the middle here in order to go around that crease. That way I could fasten that crease down. I could have left it out, but then the seat would have looked bad, and I like to have clean installs, especially on a car that's as clean as this. So pretty much time to button this whole thing back up, put it in the car, and test it. Hopefully I'll have heat throughout the whole seat. Okay, I've already taken this center console apart, but I just wanted to show you guys how to do it on the automatic, because all the videos that you see online are doing this for the manuals, which is much easier. But anyways, I'm just going to kind of work backwards. Once you get down to this point, all you have to do is pull here, and the whole piece clicks loose. And then there's a ribbon cable back behind here that you can see. Make sure you pop that out so you don't damage it. The second piece that you're going to remove is going to be this bezel here. Pretty much you just pull on it, it pops up, and make sure you remove your hazard light connector, which is going to be on the right hand side. Even if you have an American car, it connects on the right hand side even though the button is on the left hand side. Working backwards, the first step you would be doing is to remove this ring, and with a little bit of patience, you may need a splunger or maybe a flathead if you're brave enough. This ring basically just lifts straight up and off, and to reinstall it you just have to align it to the right place and push down on it. Alright, so at this point I've got the driver's seat removed, which I'm going to start working on, and you guys don't really need to see that because you've already seen me do one. I've got the center console taken apart, and you've seen how to do that. And so what I'm going to start doing is working on getting these wires run really clean as possible. My harness that comes with the seats is a Y shape, so this is the seat harness. One side goes to one seat, one side goes to the other seat. I've pulled the two screws out. There's one here at the back of the armrest and one on the other side. So I'm going to try and wedge that down in there and try to work my way underneath the carpet and make these come out in a nice fashion, and then figure out where I want my power wires and my relay to come out. But before I get started on that, I'm going to hit this thing with a vacuum because everything's out of the way and it's a perfect time to do that. Alright, so skipping ahead a little bit, I went ahead and installed the passenger seat to get everything tested. What I ended up doing as far as the wiring is concerned is most kits only come with two wires, power and a ground, just like you would expect, and then they wire the switches in, and you don't really have to worry about the complicated stuff because they do that for you. This particular kit that comes with the button that you see here actually has an illuminated button, so there's actually four wires. There's a yellow wire, two red wires, and a black ground wire. What I did is connect both the red wires together, and I used the ACC power source that goes to the radio. I also used the illuminator wire off of the radio, and the ground wire, I grounded it to the chassis. And everything seems to be working fine. I tested the heating pads to the wiring that I did. I actually wired the wiring along the same path as the OEM wiring, and it pretty much just goes up through the carpet. I was able to pull this back and run it through with a coat hanger and run everything up behind the dash. So this is turning out to be a really clean install, and we're almost done, folks. Okay, if you're watching this retrofit specifically for the 350Z, the 350Z has this little cover and it's held on by 3 screws. It comes right off, and you can deconstruct the seat just how you would do on the passenger side. Alright folks, so here's the finished product. It's tested and working. As you can see here, the dial switch fits perfectly into the blank switch panel on the 350Z. I've got these wires hanging out here because of a project that I'm not quite finished yet, because I couldn't purchase the parts that I want, but I'm going to end up mounting these really clean down here to the blank that was in here. But that's the finished product, and now the car has heated seats that it didn't have in it before. So that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching. See you guys next time.